Hello and welcome to Delapre, the Happy Abbey, a series of conversations with local people about Delapré Abbey and how it links to the wellbeing of the community. My name's Laura Graham, I'm a Northampton-based freelance writer and community activist, and in this episode I talked to Lorraine Lewis, who's the co-founder and CEO of an award-winning local charity, the Lewis Foundation. They provide free gifts and support to adults going through cancer treatment in 14 NHS hospitals around the Midlands. Lorraine balances this with her job as a criminal lawyer working for the Crown Prosecution Service. Lorraine's hugely passionate about working with individuals and not-for-profits to help build communities to make the world a better place. So who better to talk to than Lorraine? We recorded this episode on a very wet and windy day during lockdown, and because we were following strict social distancing rules, you might be able to hear the wind howling through the open windows of the library at the Abbey. But luckily, it didn't put Lorraine off, and she spoke about the benefits of volunteering, how Delapre gives her a sense of local pride, and falling asleep during yoga. Lorraine Lewis from the Lewis Foundation.
Hey, good to see you.
It's so good to see you. We are here in the library at Delapré Abbey, and it is a beautiful room, isn't it?
I love it.
Can you describe what we can see here?
It's just amazing. It's like a throwback of those one of those historical libraries. There's a harp, there's a piano. Like, if I could be here to live, I would.
Yeah. It makes me want to play the harp.
Me too, but I'm too scared because I would actually destroy it.
Yeah, maybe we should definitely not touch that. It is a beautiful room, and we're here socially distanced, and talking about Delapré Abbey and really wanting to get your feel and your take on what this sort of asset for Northampton is and how it works for you and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'd love to know a little bit about how you have used Delapré before and what's your experience with coming here.
Yeah, so for me, I've got really good memories from here. It reminds me of my dad and my brother. We always used to come down here to the park on Sunday afternoons, and we'd just walk around. There's a tree that's just right out the front. I know you can't see it, but it's a huge, massive tree, and I've got like loads of photos with my brother against it. So for me, it's really positive family memories of just good times. I just feel it just makes me feel happy when I come here.
It was a bit of a weekend tradition then, was it?
Yeah, it just like when you're down here, it doesn't feel like you're in a town. It just feels like you're in a completely different space, and it just feels so good, and it's just like escapism. That's probably the way I would describe it, escapism.
That's a really good way to describe it, actually, because it feels quite calm, doesn't it? And to think that we're still basically in Northampton town centre.
Yeah, we're pretty much in the town centre, but it doesn't feel like it.
It's mad.
Yeah.
It is great though. And do you use it as an adult then? Do you come here like now you're grown up?
Yes, I still come here. I would go to afternoon tea, be an afternoon tea here because I love afternoon teas. That's my thing. And just to like walk around the grounds. They did the Northampton half marathon. It usually finishes here, so I usually do that when it's on. So yeah, I still use it as much now as I did when I was a kid. So it just feels like it's just part of my life. It's part of Northampton.
Because obviously you've used it as a child and as an adult, but how do you think somewhere like Delapre could impact the well-being of the wider community?
I think that people don't realise what it's like to come down here, because I know it's in the town centre, so probably people are on different parts of the town because Northampton town is quite big. But if you come here, there's just so much you can do. You can go for a walk on the grounds, so it doesn't necessarily have to mean you spend money if that's an issue. Or you can use some of the facilities here. There's tours, there's different activities. I know at Christmas time they do those, with the carols by candlelight. So there's so much you can do that can make you feel good. So I think it's a case that people need to be more aware of what's here, because there's so many different things on offer that will make people feel better, bring families together, do things with your friends. Yeah, I think it's a place that if people realise what it actually entailed, they would make more use of it.
I think that as well, actually. I must confess I'm quite guilty of coming here for the beer festival and not a lot else.
That's good too. That's always good too.
And yeah, I think I'm one of those people. So I didn't grow up in Northampton, so I never used it as a child. And living here as an adult, I kind of use Abington Park and the racecourse more than I use here. But the more I come here and the more I see that there's stuff going on, and there's a lake, which I never even knew about.
Yeah, that's amazing. And in summers, there's people having barbecues, and I think there's even like, is there a boat or something on there that people go out on? So there's just so much you can do.
Yeah, I didn't realise any of this, and it's a bit of a hidden gem, isn't it?
Yeah, especially when you go to the back and you see the lake as well.
I know, and you just think, what?
Where's this come from?
Yeah, it's a really lovely place, and we're sat in the library. We're so lucky to be in here. It's closed to the public at the moment, so we're nice and sort of safe being in here. And we get to see the lovely views out the window of the big trees and people walking their dogs, and it's just such a beautiful spot, isn't it?
It just makes you feel, it just feels cosy and nice, and
I'm a big fan of architecture as well. And
it's a beautiful building.
Walking around looking at it from the outside, there's something about that. I don't know if it's sandstone. I'm sure the historians will tell me off. But whatever stone it is,
it looks good.
Yeah. I really wanted to talk to you about sort of the positive impacts of volunteering.
Yeah.
Because as we know, you are the founder of a fantastic charity which does so much across the Midlands now, isn't it?
I know. I can't believe it. See, that you were the first one that joined us.
I was the first volunteer. That is my proudest
that is
achievement.
I'm proud.
It really is. And I must come back to volunteering actually when COVID allows. But it was a few years back now when you sort of started out. How many years was it?
So it's 5 years next month.
Wow.
It's gone so quick.
Wow.
It really has.
And you deliver care packs to patients receiving cancer treatment in how many hospitals now?
I think, I should know, but I think it's about 14 now.
14 hospitals? Yeah. Wow,
Yeah.
That's blown my mind, because we started out at Talbot Butler Ward in Northampton General every week.
Yeah.
And obviously you were giving packs to the day inpatients as well. Yeah. 14 hospitals.
Yeah, it's grown loads at that time.
And you do this as well as working.
Yeah, so I'm still working. I'm okay, don't worry.
Wow.
It's just a very organised, but we have so much support as well. And like you talk about volunteers, that's what makes it happen. It's volunteers, people giving up their time to try and help make it happen, because we know how tough it is for people, even more so with COVID. It's been a horrible year in that respect. You know, people are disconnected from their family and friends, people in hospital, no visitors. I can't even imagine how that must feel. So to have different members of the public coming together just to say, what can I do to make someone's life a bit better? That's how it makes it possible. It's just amazing. Yeah,
because I mean, obviously organisations like Delapre are, rely on their army of volunteers as well. And I'm really intrigued to hear sort of from your perspective as somebody who has a very busy working life and, social life normally.
Yeah.
And then obviously running this charity that's grown hugely,
Yeah.
It sounds like a lot of work.
It's a lot of work.
But what do you think you get out of it as a volunteer? What sort of wellbeing benefits do you feel?
For me, it gives me a sense of fulfilment. I mean, sometimes you're doing your day to day and things that you can find that are not that bad. Like you can have a moan or a whinge, but then you putting yourself forward to look after somebody else or help somebody else. You're actually like thinking, let me put into perspective here, like, I'm doing something that's making somebody's life that's really struggling a little bit better. So for me, it just gives me that sense of purpose. It makes me really, really happy. It does. When I see like a message come up and someone with a bag or somebody's told me how it made them feel, it makes me feel happy as well. So it's kind of like I'm making somebody else happy, but in return, it's coming back to me. It's a really nice circle. And yeah, it's just, I can't describe it. It's just like, when you're doing it, it just doesn't feel like work. It just feels like you're just a human helping another human, and you're just trying to make them feel better. And you would hope somebody would do that to you in return.
Yeah, definitely. I know that's been my experience of volunteering for you and a number of like other charities and stuff. It definitely feels like you get so much out of it.
Yeah, and you're like, people are like, why are you doing so much? You're not getting any money, and it's like, it's not about the money. It's like, you could give me all the money in the world, but if someone said, like, you stopped me from feeling low, or, you picked me up when I was at a really low point, money's not going to create that feeling. If someone giving me money is not going to create that sense of feeling that I got from making that person feel that much better. So, yeah, it doesn't matter. It's not about the money for me. It's about making people feel happy.
Yeah, and I definitely think, you know, as a volunteer for any organisation, you know, you can come to it when you're not feeling great. You know, you can come to it. I know I found volunteering when I was feeling very lonely and isolated and kind of cut off from the community and didn't know anyone. And, you know, that was it was kind of quite selfish in a way because I just needed to help myself. But I think that's what people find, you know, volunteering at the Abbey or for your organisation. They get that sense of like being part of something bigger than themselves. Yeah,
definitely. And then, like you said, and I don't think it's a selfish thing saying about being lonely or isolated, because actually it's building our communities. We've got people that volunteer with us that they live on their own, that they're isolated. So it brings people together so that they know they're not alone, so that they've got other people to talk to.
In terms of Delapré Abbey and how it sort of factors in Northampton, you're born and bred in Northampton?
Yeah, always lived here.
Okay, big up and down. And, you know, obviously you've experienced Delapre as a child and now as an adult. How do you think that places like this really impact your sense of like local pride and, you know, feeling of being a Northamptonian?
Yeah, it does, because people outside of it know about it as well. So obviously my work base is not Northampton, so I work between London and Leicester, and people there have heard about it as well when they, you know, ask about it, and when they see me post pictures if I'm here or I'm having something to eat or I'm in the building. You do feel proud because they're like, oh, that looks like a really amazing place, and they want to know about it. And often they're surprises in Northampton, and that's not but they are, because they're like, you wouldn't think it's part of your town, but I was like, actually, yeah, it is. We do have nice places, and this is one of them. So it does give you a sense of pride, actually, because it's such a nice building and beautiful grounds. So yeah, I'm proud to have it in the town.
I think there's a lot to be proud of here, though. You know, not just assets like Delapre, but, you know, we've got Royal and Derngate.
Yeah, we've got so much.
You know, the Guildhall, we've got beautiful architecture, you know, lovely green open spaces and parks and creative stuff, and, you know, there's just a lot going on.
There is, and we get a lot of negative press when actually we've got so much good that goes on here. So yeah, we have to keep pushing the good stuff forward.
So you mentioned that you had obviously finished your half marathon here, and that there are quite a few big events that happen at Delapre during the year. And I particularly remember you being here for one of the, I think it was Northamptonshire Day.
Yeah, that was it.
Back, I think you were inside.
Yeah, I can't remember which room, but we were here.
And it gave an opportunity for, you know, a big crowd of people to be exposed to like local food producers and charities like yours and stuff. So how do you think that those types of days or events here are important?
I think they're really valuable, actually, because from coming to that day ourselves, I got to learn about different organisations, different local businesses that I hadn't actually heard of. So it's by bringing all the people in Northampton together and get to learn about them and the different things they do, you can do it in one space, because sometimes that gets missed. So you're not going to always see it in the newspaper or if you're dotted about at different events. So I think it's really important to bring the community together to have events like that. And also then members of the public are drawn in as well. So at least I've seen it advertised, what's this, let's come along. They're not just seeing all the businesses, they're learning about the history of the building too. So I think they're really valuable days.
And a lot of fun.
They were very fun.
Fun. My view of heritage sites like this, it has traditionally been that they are for older people, middle class, white, that's the kind of, it conjures up that kind of Antiques Roadshow kind of vibe in my mind, which is fine. But obviously as younger people, you know, how do you think somewhere like this can make sure that, you know, it's not just catered to that quite narrow demographic, and actually that it future-proofs its, you know, place in Northampton for generations to come?
Yeah, I think maybe people have that perception. Yeah, people have that perception that it is potentially like it's not for them. But I think they need to see what activities actually happen here, because there are actually activities that, if you did have a look, they are for all ages, all interests, because I've seen arts and crafts. Like I said, the Christmas is always really big and there's lots going on. I think if maybe we could see more publicly what goes on here, and it's not exclusive to a certain group of people, then people might actually feel like, yeah, actually I'll come and check it out and have a look at it. I think it's because people don't necessarily see it. They see the building and think, this isn't for me. More needs to be done to reach out to those people and say, actually, look, there's all this going on, or why don't you suggest something then? I think a lot of time people don't realise that if they have a voice, why don't they just suggest something, like do an activity that might bring people in?
And how do you think, so you mentioned obviously being able to see things a bit more publicly.
Yeah.
What do you reckon the best route is for Delapre to do that and to publicise all of the stuff that they're doing?
I think social media is definitely the way forward to do that, because I know for me, I don't traditionally I wouldn't read the newspaper. I'm more online. So I think that's a lot of the ways that you get to interact with people is by connecting and communicating with them online. Because unless you're coming down this way, you're probably not going to know what's going on. And a lot of the people also don't always subscribe to like newsletters or emails, because that's how I see the events, but not everybody else reads it that way. So maybe I think social media definitely making people aware of the different activities, what's going on and what the Abbey's about.
Yeah, I think I'm very keen to see more people that I can relate to.
Yeah.
Doing stuff here and like seeing how fun it is and making it feel like it's a space for me.
Yeah.
I think maybe my hesitance about interacting with Delapre has been around that sort of perception of the house, and that it is, like you mentioned, quite exclusive.
Yeah.
But obviously they've just given away, I think it's 7,500 memberships, passes to residents in Briar Hill. And,
amazing.
Yeah, so they really want the community to be able to come in, and they don't want cost to be a barrier to that.
Yeah, and I think that people would look at a building like this and think like it's out of my league. When actually it's cheaper here to come here, like if you want to grab a coffee and cake, than go to say Starbucks. It really is. You go Starbucks, it's like out of this world. So, and you can have a nice coffee and cake, walk around the grounds. So, yeah.
Not that we're saying anything
There's nothing about Starbucks, but just saying.
I mean, right, I think that it's all about perception, isn't it? And the perception is that big chain coffee shops are, more cost effective than independents or places like this. And that's not always the case, is it? And also you've got to factor in, the keeping the money local. Yeah. And keeping that sort of circular economy and keeping it sort of in the town and in the county. And obviously with chain. Yeah. Any kind of chain venue. You don't always do that.
Yeah, and I don't think people realise that as well. I think it's definitely that more awareness that you don't have to be a certain person to come here just because of how the building looks.
I mean, they've trusted us in here, to be honest. They've just left us to it with all these probably very
I believe it went on the piano.
I know. I'm so tempted. I'm so tempted to give it up. No, we won't.
Oh, I do.
I really like that about Richard and the team here, like the CEO. He's just really open and wants to make it a place where the community can engage, and wants to make it somewhere that, like, we all get benefit from. He doesn't want it to be some exclusive kind of, stuffy place. And I think it's just for people like us to give it a try. Yeah,
and I think you have to give things a try. And I think if you came here and realised actually there's that barrier is not there, people would enjoy it. It's just getting over that first hurdle, I think, of I don't feel I would fit in here.
In the summertime, when the weather's nice, it's not such a blustering day like today, blowing a gale outside. How would you normally use the grounds, during the summertime? Yeah,
it'll be walking around, sitting down, having a picnic. I would probably go have something to eat here because I really like the food. It's really good. So it'll be whether it's inside or outside. We'll be making use of the grounds, whether that was with my family or friends. Or Lee as well. I'll drag Lee along. He moans, but he'll get dragged too.
Lee, lovely husband and co-founder of the Lewis Foundation.
Yeah, he'll get dragged along. If there's food, he'll be fine.
He loves his food, does Lee, doesn't he? Loves it. Talk about the food then, because I've come to the Orangery before, but I think that's about it. What have you experienced here, and what kind of food have you had?
For me, it's really good because they cater for celiac, because I've got gluten intolerance, and a lot of places you actually really struggle, and I find here that they've got a really good selection. So for me, that's always an attraction when going to somewhere that I can actually eat, which is always a bonus. And I just find the food really nice. Just the staff make it a really nice atmosphere here. Like I was saying, last year I came here for my not last year, the year before. Sorry, the years are flying, with my parents for my birthday for afternoon tea. And we were in one of the rooms, and they let us have the room to ourselves, not because we had paid extra for it, but they wanted to make it a really nice experience for us. And it was absolutely amazing. And my parents were blown away because they hadn't really been inside as much as us being outside all the time. And it was just such a nice experience. I definitely would do it again. So
that's making me hungry.
Yeah.
Love an afternoon tea.
Yeah, so definitely check that out if you haven't already.
Yeah, because there's the hibiscus restaurant here, which I've kind of been inside but not eaten at, and then the Orangery, which is like a bit more of a. It's not a cafe. I don't want to call it a cafe.
No, I don't know.
Injustice.
Yeah, but I know what you mean.
It's like not fine dining like hibiscus, but it's not. Yeah, it's
like in between.
I don't know how to describe it. It's just really nice.
Yeah, it's a good place.
And then they've got Common Ground as well, which is fairly
which
new,
I didn't know about.
Is like a cafe. I think they're aiming that more at like the dog walkers.
Yeah.
And you can buy doggy treats in there and like grab a coffee as you're walking around. So they've thought about it.
Yeah.
And they've really done a bit for everything.
Yeah.
For everyone, which I really appreciate. I think that's
it's
a good thought process behind
exactly
how people might use it and eat here. So Delapré Abbey are moving towards becoming a wellbeing hub, which will mean lots of things in the future. But I'm just wondering right now, what kind of stuff do you do to look after your own wellbeing, given that you're so busy and obviously giving so much of yourself to other people through volunteering in the charity? How on earth do you look after yourself?
Yeah, for me, I've used in the lockdown period, actually, it was a time of slowing down, and I didn't realise realised how much I needed to slow down until lockdown hit. And then I felt a bit lost for a while because I'm so used to doing so many things, and it was all stripped away, and I just felt it was just weird. So I found it really difficult to start lockdown to sleep, actually. I think I was just worried about everything. I was worried about my parents, I was worried about people in hospital, because people were messaging as well because they didn't know what to do. So I couldn't sleep for ages. And then there was a lady who's in Northampton, Lemonkind Mindfulness. She was doing like mindfulness sessions to help you switch your mind off for people who are struggling. And I'd never really done mindfulness in that way before. I don't know why I didn't know what its benefits would be or if it would help me. And it did. And I found like it just quieted my mind, and I was able to start sleeping again. Started doing yoga as well. That completely helped me to go back to sleep. I think I fell asleep in a yoga session, which was really embarrassing because it was online. But they were like, if it worked, that's amazing. But I really make time now to make sure, especially during these times, to look after my well-being. So I'll do the mindfulness sessions every month. I'll do yoga. And I also now, in terms of my own well-being, turn off like my mobile phone. Like I try and turn it off by 8:30 every night. Restrict my social media, because that was just spiraling out of control, and that can affect how you feel as well. So I think this period has taught me I need to help and look after myself as well. So yeah, I've been doing a lot of wellbeing work the last year on myself, and it's definitely helped me to feel better.
That's brilliant. I need to take a leaf out of you.
It's not been easy, don't get me wrong, because you feel like, I'm taking time for myself, like I could have done something else in that time, but actually you're not going to be any more effective because you're tired. You need to rest. So I have to force myself to do it. I kind of like diary block it out just to make sure.
It's a good tactic.
Yeah, and then it pings up and I'm like, right, it seems like it's more real than when it's just like, I'll let it come in as and when, because you're easy just, I'll just do something else, or I'll fit something else in. So
that's a top tip.
Yeah, don't put it in your diary.
Put it in your diary. What kind of like other things would you want to sort of say about Delapre to, I guess, to encourage people that it is a space for everyone?
Yeah, I would say to people that you should just, I know sometimes it's easy to look at something and feel like you can't be a part of it, but sometimes you have to take that step and take that action yourself. If you come down here, it's really open to all, and it's obvious when you come down here, the way the staff greet you, the way people make you feel, they make you feel special, like they want to go out their way to make you feel special. So I think it's just take that step, try something new, and you'll be really amazed at how good it makes you feel when you come here. Because that's how it makes me feel every time I come here. It makes me feel happy. I've got good memories with it. So I think you just need to take the step and give it a go.
Thank you so much, Lorraine, for coming down and having a chat. It's been really amazing to hear from you. And as always, you are my hero. You literally are. And I can't wait to come down here and, you know, see more events and to really enjoy this space when life is a little bit
normal.
I don't want to say normal, but you know, different. So thanks so much for taking time out of your really hectic schedule to talk to us.
Thank you.
And yeah, go and check out the Lewis Foundation. They're across all social medias, and go and support the amazing work that they're doing. Thanks, Lorraine.
Thank you.
Huge thank you to Lorraine of the Lewis Foundation. I love speaking to Lorraine. She's so positive. She works so hard for the community. And I'm just so grateful that we've got somebody like Lorraine working and supporting us. If you want to support the Lewis Foundation, you can do. Just head over to Twitter, Instagram or Facebook and search for the Lewis Foundation. You can even go directly to their website to donate to them. If you enjoyed this episode, please like and share it and look out for other episodes in this series. Thanks for listening.